Hello, everyone. Nice seeing all of you. So thank you so much for everyone who's viewing this session. I have to say that it's being recorded and it will be uploaded on our webpage afterwards. And in this session, we will address the designer challenge with Jide Osifeso and how he produced a tracksuit using responsible fibers. And with me today, I have Cyrill, who's the founder and CEO of Parley for the Oceans. And I also have Jide Osifeso, who's the creative director of him. And I'm super glad that we're able to see each other. Now we are saving a lot of CO2 when you are not flying to Copenhagen. So welcome, guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Brandon Collins, Nike Master Trainer. I'm excited to be a part of your CFS Plus journey.
What is that in the background? Oh, all right. So let's move into the conversation. So first of all, Jide, you mentioned in the challenge segment that you have been responsible for creating a lot of waste throughout your career. And I was wondering, why did you say yes to this challenge?
Well, it was I had a relationship with Cyrill prior to this, and talking to him, we kind of discussed, the problem with fashion and as it relates to the ocean specifically. And with this challenge, it kind of presented a way for me to kind of challenge what I've been doing before and just kind of like question processes and understand what I've been doing like through the entirety of my career, especially working in sportswear. And so it was an opportunity for me to challenge what I do fundamentally and maybe come up with new solutions, new ways of going about it. And that's exactly what happened as a result of going through this procedure.
Thanks. Yeah, and we're really glad that you wanted to take this challenge. And I think it's really important. And if we look at, Parley, who also said yes to be the sustainable solution provider for this challenge, most sportswear is made of polyester and nylon, which we all know have a huge impact on the environment and contribute to microplastics that's ending up in the oceans, which is something you work with, Cyrill. So maybe could you put some words into how Parley's oceans plastic is produced compared to regular nylon that we use often in the industry?
Yes, of course. First, I want to speak a second about Jide. So the interesting thing was when we had the first call back then, we spoke the first time on phone, and I was like so happy that he showed this excitement, that it was not something where he felt like, oh my God, this is homework I have to do. It was like more like, what's the future? What can we do? How can we create things? And I think that is what we're looking for. We're looking for the next generation of top designers that are saying, I'm taking this on. I want to study it. I want to know it. I want to engineer it. And they're also seeing an advantage in it. They're seeing an advantage in like defining a new generation of materials. And that's why we were not even thinking twice when we were invited to do this challenge with him. The truth is that at Parley, we believe in a material revolution. We believe that all these toxic substances for which the fashion industry stands for, unfortunately, they need to go. You need to let this all behind us, and it sounds like a big thought, but to be very frank, the fashion industry looks back on a supply chain development that had been very slow, very Stone Age. And I think this is the first year, and it sounds sad because we started in the fashion industry with Parley, fashion and art actually. It's the first year where I see serious commitment from fashion brands when we're talking to them. Because at Parley, yes, we speak ocean plastic. Yes, we speak how can we take all this plastic back from nature, upcycle it and replace virgin plastic with it. But also we're talking about the next generation of materials, the future of plastic, the future of leather, the future of fur. Because the truth is, the future is not built on fossil fuel. It's built on biotech.
Yeah, I think you're completely right. And I think that it's important. And I think, and maybe in terms of, COVID, I think there is a lot of designers out there and fashion houses in general, who's taking this much more serious in general around sustainability compared to before. As you mentioned, that this year is maybe where they took it all serious, even though it's kind of late, but it's never too late in the end because we really need to do something. But would you mind just bringing up a bit about, what is the difference between Parley's ocean plastic compared to regular nylon?
when you're looking at Jide's piece, his tracksuit, then you're not only looking at a material option. You're not only saying, okay, this weight of this piece is now being used in ocean plastic. It's more than that, because in order to get this fabric together, we collect probably 5 to 10 times more of that material out there. That means at the end of the world. That means in remote islands, remote coastal communities, and on beaches where nobody ever would pick up a piece of plastic. And that means like for every bottle that goes into the fabric, probably we picked up the weight of 10 times more than that. So his tracksuit is actually plastic positive. It definitely has a footprint that competes and actually beats most likely every other product in the market. So it's actually a kind of, you can see it as a dirt devil, as a vacuum cleaner. You wear one of these tracksuits, you're going to clean up 10 times more of that. And the truth is that what we're trying right now is we're trying to expand our operations. And we are so far in 33 countries in the world with cleanups. We are trying to expand them to every country with a coastline. And we have a partnership with World Bank, and actually countries are now becoming partners, and they are buying into our strategy, avoid, intercept, and redesign, where full countries say, we want to end the plastic crisis. How can we collaborate with Palais? How can we transform this waste into an asset? But also, how can we find a way out of these materials?
Yeah. Okay. I think that sounds really great. And so Jide, I was wondering, so you created him back in college. And you mentioned in the designer channel that was even before you knew how to design. And
Absolutely.
and I was just wondering, so since that, I don't know how many years that is, I'm not asking, but how has the vision changed for your brand?
You're looking old, Jide.
Well, I think the most fundamental change that happened was maybe in the past year or two. We were in Paris taking appointments, and I met with my friend Dio, who's a friend of all of us. And I was showing him the line, like, hey man, like, look at this. This is like, you know, we were gone for a few years and we're back, and I'm so happy with this. Look at all this. And I'm showing him all these new fabrics and prints and the concepts that I have and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I really love the design. I really love what you've done. And I was like, well, he's holding something back. Like, what is it? Is it like I'm getting subconscious, right? And so he's like, it's not responsible. And I'm like, what do you mean responsible? What does that mean? Like, I'm irresponsible? He's like, no, like, you know, you have a lot of like really beautiful fabrics and you spent a lot of money on this, but like, it's not sustainable. It's not victimless. And so for me, that kind of blew my mind and led me to meeting you guys, led me to meeting Cyrill, led me to just fundamentally changing the way I wanted to go about doing the project and the way that I wanted to go about kind of doing my business, even my perception of success. It really changed it, like from the ground up. It was completely like, okay, I need to like start again and figure out the best way to go about doing this, because, you know, especially like now in 2020 and what's been going on, honestly, forever, but now we have the information in front of us more readily. It's like, we as a people need to be generally more responsible with the way that we go about doing everything, the way we talk about people, the way we eat, the way we, you know, just conduct our lives. So when it comes to work, especially when you're trying to be creative, I think if you have the ability to be sustainable and responsible, you have to do that. And so for me, I mean, this project is nothing else. It's a conversation. It's an art piece. It's something that I want to use as a means of expression. And it has to be victimless. It has to be responsible, or else it's just not going to happen. So that's very much different than what I would have told you even 2 or 3 years ago, but that's where I am now.
And I think you're a really great example of that, you know, that someone's vision and inspiration can change throughout the years when you become more aware that responsibility is really needed. And for all of you guys listening in, I'm going to show, you know, the digital design studio in the end of this to keep you all staying tuned in. I think it's really some cool product that you have made together, guys. But what you just said, Jide, I think, you know, there is a lot more sustainable or responsible choices out there, especially within fashion, but within all industries. And again, in the video segment, and you also just mentioned this now, you talk about that the sustainable choice should be accessible for all. which we would like it to be, but do you think that sustainability is inclusive, or is it more an elite?
I wouldn't use the word elite, but it's not inclusive for all. And I think that comes down to maybe just the function of price. Like, I think if you want to talk about inclusivity, you have to talk about being able to offer to everybody and not require them to spend more money on the product. And so, I mean, I would love to see, people be able to use upcycled, recycled, carbon negative product at a bargain price point, be able to get it at places where I grew up. Like my mom was never going to spend $50 on a t-shirt for me. That just wasn't going to happen. She would just lose her mind if she had to. So, growing up in the places that, me or people like myself, or generally most people on this planet, they need to be able to think about price consciousness and also try to be responsible. So if we can offer that to people at a lower price point, I think that's the true ingenuity. That's when you have no excuse to not be responsible, because there's no barrier to entry, besides, the amount of money you're already comfortable with paying. Because yeah, it's tough to, be like, here's, this made out of hemp and it's recycled and it's organic, but it's going to cost you something that's you're not going to be comfortable with paying, and you're not going to do that. You have to give people the opportunity to make a better decision.
Yeah. What is your opinion on this, Cyrill?
I mean, it's the beginning of a movement. And even if we are in this since nearly a decade now at Palais, it's still the beginning of a movement. And 8 years ago, when we started Palais, people looked at us and they thought we were crazy,
Yeah.
and they couldn't believe that we would go at the end of the world and taking trash out of the environment and upcycle it. Today, you see in laboratories, materials being grown, alternatives being made. And unfortunately, yes, right now it's the big brands, it's the big fashion houses. You just saw an announcement with Adidas and carrying around Milo and all these things. The truth is that right now the game is defined by the first movers. But it's even not the case that an Adidas or a Kering is investing billions into these new technologies. So the investments have to come from investors or from sovereign states, either individuals or even countries putting money in. And I compare that with the digital revolution back then. The internet didn't just pop up because some people decided to make it happen. It was like multi-billions of dollars investments into a new technology that then became a new standard. And I like to compare the digital revolution with what we call now the material revolution. I like to compare that because it needs a lot of R&D. And at Palais, we are working on making things like ocean plastic big and mainstream and growing it fast as we can, and giving designers support, but also aiming at making it a new standard where people can just order fabrics in anywhere they normally buy. This will be the ultimate goal. But to be very frank, ocean plastic, even if it sounds great and it's a big improvement towards virgin plastic, it's not the solution, And when you're looking at the solutions, then we're looking at biofabrication, green chemistry. It's about learning from nature, really. It's about like seeing how we can grow algae, proteins, mammalian, yeast, enzymes. How can we learn from nature that had millions and millions of years of research and development, and how can we apply these factories of nature to our own materials? And again, we're talking billions and billions and billions of dollars investment. And I think it starts all with willingness. It starts with demanding. And then normally the market reacts fast. So if a generation of emerging designers now says, we want to democratize this material. Right. We want this now. I'm not accepting this anymore. I will not be part of mass murder. I will not be part of mass destruction by putting chemicals out there that kill. Then more or less the industry will follow, and that's always the case. So we first had to create a trend, and fashion is perfect for that. But we're not only talking fashion. This will be bigger than fashion. But fashion, I think, has the role to play here to escalate, to dramatize the material revolution and to win time for us all and to make it mandatory for designers. And then at the end, in the next 4 or 5 years to come, you will see democratic solutions. You will be able as a designer to just buy into alternatives. Probably in 7, 8 years, it will be impossible to find toxic materials. in the inventory of material makers. And I think that is the discussion here. The discussion is a technology shift from toxic age to actually non-harmful or less harmful.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think, the whole, to take a step back, the whole point with both, us making these designer challenges with the different creative directors is also, to get into the creative director's mind about, it's important, the aesthetics of a product is really important, but it's also important that it's responsibly made. And how do you mix these two? That's often the big question. Often you have the designers and you have the sustainability department or the supply chain department. So it's all, and not all the ways they interlink. And that is also quite a big problem often. We're receiving some questions in the Q&A. And thank you so much, guys out there for that. So I'll just take one of them just to make sure we also include that. Cool. So all responsible and smart choices are having big impacts on the price. How do you explain or educate future customer to pay more for healthy and responsible choice? Jide, do you have any objective to that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you have the ability to make the better choice, same way we talk about food even, right? I mean, living in LA, there's no shortage of healthy, farm to fork, sustainable farming choices, but it's not going to be at a McDonald's price point. But I don't fault anybody for trying to have access to food at an affordable rate, access to calories to feed your family. But I would always encourage someone to do the best for the environment, for their bodies, for our wildlife population, if they can. And these processes that we're talking about, the process of extracting, plastic from the ocean, or these engineering practices, they're not the cheapest, and so I would encourage people to spend the money if they can on a better solution, and hopefully, the ingenuity will come to bring the price points down. But I mean, if you can make a better solution and you can afford to spend the money, I would encourage doing it if you can.
Yeah, I think that's accurate as well. Another question would also be, Jide, for you. So after, you talked about meeting your friend in Paris some years ago, changed your notion of how you wanted to design. Mm-hmm. So that is one step. And then you have this step with this challenge. Has this way of producing, for instance, with responsible fibers as with ocean plastic, is that something that will influence your future production with your brand Him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other things that you do in that matter?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're shipping a line in a couple of weeks, and that was already kind of done with this in mind. We didn't go as far as to break down, these nylons. It's mostly like cottons and fleeces and using recycled, knits mostly. But the project with Cyrill, it's not something that we're just doing for this summit and for this project. It's something that's going to be ongoing. It's something that I want to actually bring my friends into doing, and hopefully anyone that I can touch, in my kind of community to use responsible fabrications of fibers, I want to have them do it alongside me. And so, it's not just a one-time thing. It's going to be the DNA of the brand. It has to be. And even outside, honestly, even outside of that, like, I've worked with a lot of different people, brands, musicians, making merchandise, making jackets, making t-shirts, hats, whatever. And we need to do that on that level too. I mean, if you're going to go into an arena and you're going to sell, thousands of units of clothing, that's a lot of stuff that's going to go into a landfill eventually, especially if it's cheap stuff, So, more than half of our product ends up going into either the ocean or the ground. And so we need stuff that's biodegradable. We need stuff that's a better option there too. So, I mean, it's for me, if you're working with me, that's something that's going to be very important to me in making a better solution there, because, that's a lot of stuff that's going into, places that we don't want it. And so,
yeah,
you got to find a better place.
Exactly. And that touched upon, scalability in terms of fabrics, which is also quite a huge thing to talk about. I was wondering, Cyrill, how do you work with that in terms of scalability of ocean plastic? Is that possible?
To be frank, scalability is plastic is the lowest hanging fruit, right? I mean, to kind of scale recycling up is comparably easy. That's not the main challenge here. And there's no excuse today for fashion house to use virgin plastic at all. There's no excuse. They can just stop. And to be honest, the price difference is not even a big one. You know, when you're looking at a garment, let's say a jacket, and the jacket retails for $1,000 plus, probably even $2,000, or if it's in the lower end for $200-300, the material difference will probably be 80-90 cents. You know, like, come on, you know, that's not. And if you are even looking at it, and I mean, then mark it up by 80-90 cents. Everybody will pay that. You know, that's not the big difference. The problem is that everybody cuts into material prices. That means like, even if you have a little change at the bottom of the supply chain, and everybody adds to it. And it's the way we are calculating products and the way everybody needs to earn in the supply chain. But I think it's time to revisit that. I think it's time to, and this will come automatically the moment brands make a decision and say, I'm not taking virgin plastic anymore. And you know what? In 5 years from now, I'm not even taking plastic anymore. So I think the brands and the designers, the creative community really, plus the organizations out there, like the big labels, the big fashion house, the maison, they can put rules out and ask the supply chain to comply. And right now it's time to be radical about these rules, because we don't anymore have the luxury of time. The planet is burning down, life is dying. And it sounds crazy when I'm saying that, because nobody feels it at home. But probably you, Jide, you feel it the most, because at least you saw the smoke coming in and the fire is raging out there.
Yeah.
But the truth is, the planet is in a super bad shape. And we simply can't afford anymore to kind of stick to the old ways. It's not possible.
No, I think you put it really, really well there. You know, they should just say no to virgin plastic.
We don't take it anymore, convert, just offer something else, you know, and we're going to give you 2 years or 3 years to convert. And we want 100% transition, like not like a 5% alibi, like, oh my God, we are mixing in one ocean plastic fiber with all the virgin material. No, it should be 100% switch. And to be frank, the first switch is off plastic, off fossil fuel. Really, that's what it is, because plastic is based on that. And the second is go towards biofabrication, go heavily towards green chemistry, biofabrication.
Yeah. And speaking about that, so we also have a question that says, you know, okay, so if we only use, let's say, ocean plastic, when you wash that, will that also, you know, give microplastics into the ocean as well?
Plastic is bad. The only good thing about ocean plastic is the fact that you remove it from a beach, that somebody is not eating it right away in a big chunk. But plastic is a bad material. It's fossil fuel based. And recycling is a Band-Aid. It's a temporary fix. Actually, the ultimate solution to end plastic pollution and microfiber pollution, whatever pollution you want to name now, is to end the material, because plastic is a design failure. And I don't agree with anybody in London that says it fits into a circular economy. It doesn't. Plastic is toxic. And the true solution is a new material. But yes, I mean, there are ways to filter out microfibers. The problem is that washing machines, the way a washing machine works, it loosens up the fabric. And especially when you have like brushed and open fibers, like fleece and things like that, they just release quickly all that stuff, and it goes into the waterways. Truth is, even when you're sitting somewhere on a chair, you're gonna leave behind broken fibers. Or if you are like going out there and then driving around with your car, you're gonna leave behind a trail of like rubbed off chemicals and plastic and synthetic materials on the street. So we are all shedding and spreading and leaking plastic fibers. Even if you're drinking right now, I don't see it, but probably you have a glass bottle under the table. The little liner in the cap releases tiny particles. It leaches chemicals in the thousands. Plastic is simply something we should get rid of. That's my opinion. But it's going to take a moment.
It will take some time, that's for sure. And
give it 10, 15 years.
Yeah. When you have collected all the plastic there is in the world.
Yeah, it's coming back in. That's the problem. There's 8 million tons of plastic entering our oceans every year. And that's just what we are allowed to say. But the truth is, It's in tap water, it's in the snow, it's in rain, it's in the air, it's everywhere. The planet is plasticized, and the only long-term fix is to redesign the material. Short-term, yes, we can try to intercept it, get it back from nature, but we should mainly try to avoid it. Thing is though, if you're speaking now to somebody who is like an animal rights activist, they won't like the idea that you're switching my glasses into a turtle shell, or that you're suddenly running around with leather or even wool. So it's a question of picking your battle, you know, for the vegan movement. And you're looking at Stella McCartney, she has done a big service by switching off natural materials. But you can then on the other hand say, okay, wow, suddenly she uses this toxic material plastic. So it's a question of which battle one picks. And we are here at Palais in the battle of fighting plastic. Others are in the battle of fighting leather and fighting meat consumption. To be honest, in the best case scenario, you fight it all. And it's just a lot that needs to change. And I think we have to kind of keep the campaigns in a way separate at this point. And at some moment in time, we will hopefully all sit in an environment that is not anymore suffering of our crazy meat consumption, or fish killing, and all these materials we are using. Yeah. But we are in a process. It's the beginning. It's still the beginning, and that's hard to say. It's the beginning of a revolution, and you can compare it really with digital. It takes years, and it will take the next 10 years, but it will go so fast that the brands and the companies, even the governments that are missing that change, they're going to have a very bad time catching up later.
Yeah, and it's as you know, as we always say also here at Global Fashion Agenda, and in general with brands, you know, no brand is 100% sustainable, because then they wouldn't be a brand. And you know, as you say, you put it quite nicely, pick your battles. You know, you can't both do everything at once. You need to pick the different and take the one that you then believe in, until that we have a solution at least.
Yeah, and I think the idea of being perfect is the wrong one. Nobody is perfect, you know, and the truth is that pivoting, if you have a process, and I call it eco-innovation, not sustainability, if you have a process of changing, you have to allow mistakes, and you have to learn from them, and you have to actually encourage people to do step by step. But then also, honestly, if they're putting announcements out, also like call them out if they're not hitting these announcements, these goals. But you should not, and we should not demonize people who try. I think it's really right now the moment where everybody should try their best, and we should encourage them.
Yeah. And just to take up another question from the audience that fits into this as well. So Jide, sustainability is a trend right now. That's not a secret, and it's good for a lot of reasons that it's a trend. But how do you, as a designer, you know, how do you ensure that it doesn't become greenwashing to do what you do?
I mean, I think that speaking towards what we were talking about before is like, when I went outside last week and the week before, I was smelling smoke in the air. And when I turn on Netflix, I see David Attenborough telling me about how horrible the planet is like right now and how much we're doing to destroy it. I don't think it could be a trend, because it's not going to get any better unless we fix it. You know, like, push has already come to shove in terms of the environment and in terms of the way that we're treating it. So, I mean, if it's trendy, I don't know how it can become a trend when it's something that's so evident. It's knocking on your door every single day. I mean, it's October and it's going to be 90 degrees here in California. It shouldn't be this way, and it's only going to get worse unless we fix it. So, you know, something as small as, you know, wearing a different kind of jacket or shirt or can really go a long way in terms of the concept and the theory of people being like, everything has to be a little bit better because here's the actual consequences. I don't think that it's going to change. I mean, it's trendy right now, but I'm glad it is. I want it to stay that way forever.
And I believe it will stay forever. It's not a temporary short trend. This is the beginning of a massive change. And actually, it is important that people are excited finally about it and don't feel like, oh my God, this is just stiff homework. It's good that it's conceived as a trend. It's good that it's conceived as a must, you know, and it's also good that that products become conversational items. And some people say, oh, I'm actually advanced. I'm doing this before others do it, because that drives the whole society of this planet towards change.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jide, sorry.
Yeah, I think I think even to take a little bit of a step further is the way we look at like these companies that we've been supporting or that we spend our money with. Like there's people that can make really amazing product and that can, you know, sell you stuff that you kind of use every single day. But I think with more transparency and more education, people can look at these brands and say that, yeah, these brands are successful, but they're really big pollutants. And they use these like plastics or these nylons that are really hurting the environment. And I'm not going to support that anymore. And when someone's bottom line is hurt, that's when they really start to change. And I think that's the evolution of this. I don't think it's going to go away. I think it's just going to get more and more widespread.
People are more educated and they get every day more educated.
Yeah.
Yeah, agree. I think, okay, so we got around a lot of really interesting questions and we only have 2 minutes left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the digital design studio for all the viewers out there to see, and then let's end on a high note. Not that this wasn't a high note, it was a really great case with you guys, but I just wanted to hear, you know, okay, so from here on, what was the key learnings, Jide? And Cyrill, you can also pitch in, but maybe let's do that while I share the product that we have been discussing. Let me just, yes, you see my product, your product.
Yeah, there it is.
Perfect. This is the Digital Design Studio, and I would encourage everyone to go in and see it. It's something we've made the last couple of months that we're really proud of, and I think, you know, the work that you guys have done together is incredible. Here is also the designer challenge that people can watch. But Jide, let's what is the best key learning, you know, from this project?
I think the thing I took away most is that, you know, every step of the process that you do creatively needs to be examined, and you need to be able to say like, this is the best version of this that I can do and the least harmful. So, I mean, even going through this process, I've learned how to eat differently. Like there's some things I won't even eat anymore because I'm just like, shit, this is bad. Like,
Wow.
it's just a little higher level of consciousness because we do so many things throughout the day. There's so many processes that we have to undertake, you know. And so you might not think that this is harmless. Like, oh, I'm driving a diesel car. This is fine. No, it's not. You should drive an electric car, and you should have solar panels on your house, or this, that, and the third. And it's a never-ending battle to be more responsible. But I think it's something that we as a people should feel responsibility to undertake if we can. And so that was, I worked for a lot of sportswear companies in the past, and I've made a lot of tracksuits. Tracksuits are something that I've been doing since I was 19. But I've never thought about using tracksuits that are, you know, plastic negative, which is great. And so that can be taken to other aspects of my life and my career.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. Time's up. I think, you know, thank you both of you for attending. It was a really, really good conversation. And let's, you know, one key takeaway from this is definitely, you know, we can all do better, and we should all, you know, do much more with responsibility in general in all aspects of life.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah,
of course. Well, see you around.
Bye. Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks for having us. It was great. Yeah.
Good afternoon and good evening, everybody. Simone, can you hear us?
Yes, hello, Ruth, how are you?
Hello. So good afternoon, everybody around the world. Simone and myself are delighted to be presenting today at the Copenhagen Fashion Summit. And our theme today is circularity at scale. But let's start with some introductions. Simone, do you want to go first?
Yes, my name is Simone and I'm the director of Italian branch of Quantis, and we are an international consulting firm, and more informally, let's say we are a team of creative sustainability scientists. That's about me.
And my name is Ruth Farrell, and I'm Global Marketing Director in Eastman's Textiles business, where we lead with our Naya brand portfolio, and I'm here in Switzerland. So Qantas and Eastman have been friends for quite a number of years, and I would say that Simone and the team in Qantas have been quite a thought partner in our journey. And Simone and myself decided that we'd get together for this presentation because I think we share a shared vision that we all want to make sustainable fashion accessible to all. For the last 2.5 years, we've been pushing boundaries, Simone. Can you remember the first time you met us?
Yes, it's true that the collaboration between Eastman, Naya and Quantis started some years ago, and personally my first opportunity to collaborate with you was early this year in January, when you organized amazing event in Italy, in Cernobbio, on the Lake of Como. And I remember the great event, the very engaging discussion with Italian mills, and also the very, very beautiful location. Unfortunately, today we are not this kind of location, but I hope that the output of our discussion will be even more useful for the fashion sector to be in a more sustainable way.
Indeed, we're in a very, very different world right now, Simone, but I think both of us feel that even though we're going through this COVID pandemic, there's a heightened appreciation of sustainability, and maybe some of that is crystallizing in tension some more. So fingers crossed that we'll all be back in Copenhagen fairly soon. So today, what we'd like to do is introduce you to a concept around sustainable fashion without compromise, introduce you to a potential circular fiber option that's currently available today, but also talk about circularity and really the impact it can have on climate change. So we're going to take you through a short case, and then we'll have some time for questions at the end. Now, to kickstart, Simone, I think you have quite a provocative question for everyone.
Yes, thanks. So indeed, our idea was to engage a little bit the audience, and therefore we have a slide on the next slide where we put the different contributions when we take the full picture of the fashion and apparel sector. So let's say that we have different stages from the fiber production, of course, to the end of life of our clothes. And in the middle, you have the different steps. So the preparation of the yarn, the fabric, and all the processing. And of course, we have also to consider the logistic aspect, so the distribution. So let's say that here on this slide, we have the different contributors, the different part of the story when you are trying to define the apparel sector. Now, if we are observing this sector from a climate change perspective, my question for our audience today is, what is the main contributor to climate change? So in terms of carbon footprint, what is the main contributor when we are comparing these different life cycle stages? So to give you the possibility to answer, we have the possibility on your right part of the screen, if I'm not wrong, to have this pool section. So where you can find a different option and make your decision and give your answer. I'm just double checking if the audience can have access to this pool. And just to be sure, the question is, in terms of climate change, what is the main contributor? What is your feeling? Is the fiber production that drive the impact? Is the end of life? Is the fabric preparation? That's the key question that we are addressing to our audience. So I guess that we have to be able to open the chat if it's feasible. Ruth, are you able to open the chat just to or give me a feedback if we are receiving answer from the audience?
Yeah, we are receiving them. Let me.
Cool.
Yes, everyone can see the chat.
Okay. It's good that the audience can have a little bit more time to think about this question and give the answer. So now I don't have the full visibility on the answer, but now you can compare your own answer with what the science are telling us. So we can move to the next slide, Ruth, and discover what the assessment that we made a couple of years ago show in terms of results.
Okay, there you go, Simone.
Yes, thanks a lot. So this is the result of our assessment that we published as Quantis in a report measuring fashion 2 years ago. And by the way, this study was also mentioned by other great publication recently, the GFA work built on this kind of data. And what is interesting to note here on this graph is that more than 50% of the global impact in terms of carbon footprint is coming from tier 2, 3, and 4. So all the fiber production and the processing of this raw material can really have an impact in terms of footprint when we are looking to the full sector. Therefore, if we want to really act on material thing, we have to consider the good selection of fiber and the good processing in order to design our future. So that's the key message during this little exercise with our audience.
So I can tell you, Simone, people didn't hit it exactly right. So hopefully it's been a good awareness for everybody in the audience. And I think we've got some of our technology working back again now. So I think maybe people didn't see me till now. So one of the things that I did want to highlight when I look at the results is that a lot of people underestimated the impact of the fiber. And the fiber choice is such a fundamental part, Simone, of the decision to create a sustainable garment.
Yes, indeed. It's really one of the key aspects and the key drivers. So in terms of eco-design and in terms of action for the future, the fashion brands have to work on that. We cannot ignore it because the pressure and the challenge is so big that we have to focus our effort on the most important thing.
Absolutely. And that's where we'd like to share with you Naya Renew, which is a new offering in the market, a fiber choice that is a circular fiber choice that is perfect for women's wear. So this was a fiber that Eastman has launched into the market just this month. So it is fresh news and maybe a lot of people haven't heard about it as yet. So to know Naya Renew is to understand how Naya Renew is made. So forgive me to put up a little production schematic here. So Naya Renew is a cellulosic fiber, a yarn or a staple fiber that is 60% sourced from wood pulp and 40% sourced from recycled content. So Naya Renew is made with certified wood pulp and acetic acid, 60% wood pulp, 40% acetic acid. So we get our wood pulp, Simone, as you know, from certified forests. And that's ground down into wood pulp. And in Kingsport, Tennessee, we combine that with acetic acid. Now, the magic of this solution is where we get that acetic acid. So we get that acetic acid from waste plastics that are diverted from landfill. So a whole set of complex waste plastics that are fed into our carbon renewal technology, broken down into molecular parts, and then rebuilt up as building blocks into an acetyl stream where we extract our acetic acid. So it is an amazing solution because on one side, 60% wood pulp, 40% waste plastics. So we're very excited to bring this to market because we see it as circularity without compromise. Not only is it sourced from renewable wood pulp and recycled waste plastics, it's also biodegradable. And on the plus side, there's so many other benefits. We've no trade-off in quality, so the end product is indistinguishable from our virgin Naya product. It has a reduced carbon footprint, viable solution for many plastics that if this solution did not exist would end up genuinely on landfill. And we're bringing it to market at a full commercial scale. So it's a really, really exciting place to be right now.
Yes, and just to jump on that, because I like the concept of no compromise. And it's true that in terms of circularity, which is definitely a good accelerator, we have to somehow back up these different solutions with metric-based or scientific-based tool and assessment to be sure that from an environmental perspective, it's a more interesting solution. And it's nice to see that the carbon footprint or the environmental footprint is also here to confirm that there is no compromise also in terms of environmental perspective, in addition to no compromise in terms of quality.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other side is no compromise in terms of we very much see at Eastman that circularity and sustainability needs to be holistic. So if we look at Naya today, our whole portfolio has focused on, responsible sourcing, safe use of hazardous chemicals, actually no hazardous chemicals or discharge of hazardous chemicals, a low carbon and low water footprint, and biodegradability. And with Naya Renew, we're adding that one extra element, which is capturing value from plastic waste and integrating that into our overall solution, which brings a very powerful product to the market, especially when you think that we're delivering it not at pilot, but at full commercial scale. And one of the things I do want to reiterate is the fact that it does not mean any compromise on the quality of the end fabric. So we can see, be it a filament yarn or a staple yarn, all the inherent qualities of the fiber in a fabric, be it the hand feel, the softness, the attributes of dry time or reduced pilling, all of those remain. And that in itself is something that can really drive circular solutions, because sometimes there's a misperception that there is a trade-off when you start bringing in sustainable or circular solutions. I mean, I think you've seen that perception in the market, Simone.
Yes, indeed. And what I noted is that this kind of solution is available now. And unfortunately, I would say that we don't have too much time. So we are in the decade of action, as IPCC or United Nations said. So now we really have to have big commitment, right? And make some decision according to sustainability science, and then concrete action on important thing, and we have to act quite quickly. So it's a good example of circularity solution available for the market.
Yeah, totally agree. We have to act with speed now. So we were asked to put together, Simone and myself, a one page of our key learnings. So let's give it a go, Simone. So our key message is we have to act now and focus on concrete actions. As Simone said, we do not have much time on our hands. The greenhouse gas problem, along with the growing volumes of textile waste in the world, are such that there is a very urgent need to take action. So our first takeaway is act now. And we have a collective responsibility to take urgent action for a sustainable future. So that's why Simone and ourselves are working together. That's why we're working with people across the value chain, because we've got to make solutions available today across the value chain.
Yeah, and I will take the second one, because again, I repeat the message, but it's so strong that there is no space for compromise. And I'm trying to make the link with a previous session that I attended this afternoon on the Fashion Pact. And when fashion brands are committed at that level, and then, for instance, on the climate change pillar, they are following the Science-Based Target Initiative. When you are trying to define the corporate footprint, so the baseline to assess the environmental footprint of each company, you know that a large part of the environmental profile impact is related to fiber and raw material. And therefore, no compromise is also because the science is helping us to identify where the fashion brand, have to work, and we know that this is something key. So I'm very happy to share again this message on the key aspect to properly design the fiber and the processing for the future of the sector.
Fully agree, Simone. And our next one is, there are commercial circular solutions at scale available in the market. And we shared one today with Naya Renew, but really our plea is to check out the different technologies out there. There are solutions available, and there are solutions available at scale, because I know everybody can be concerned about a pilot solution, when really you need something that can be delivered commercially. So there are solutions there. Naya Renew is one, but there are other ones. So just to say that you can act now because there are solutions there. So just take that first step.
Yeah. And another key aspect when we prepared this session with you, Ruth, was to highlight the need of the collaboration. And just to build on that, I will have the pleasure in a couple of days to be speaker in another event in Parma, in Italy. And it's an event named Regeneration 2030, with some session focus on food, but we will have also the pleasure to have Paul Polman as a representative of the Fashion Pact, also speaker in that event. And for me, it's an example where the collaboration is key, of course, in a pre-competitive way within a sector. But what about open the collaboration to other sectors? Because the challenge is big, and some dynamic are requesting collaboration also between different sectors. So I would like to invite you to join as well this regeneration event, and also to try to push the collaboration within the sector, but also outside the fashion and luxury sector.
And our final one is that both of us feel that COVID has helped crystallize focus and intention on sustainability across the value chain. I think as consumers, we all feel a heightened sense of appreciation and awareness around sustainability, and that is translating, you know, across the value chain as well. The conversation has changed. The conversation has become more urgent. The conversation has become much more intentional around people genuinely looking for solutions. And my feeling is that the conversation has moved outside the sustainability department into the other areas and other departments around brands.
Yeah, I fully agree. And honestly, this situation is also a way to identify where the sustainability was only a nice to have topic. And if it was the case, today the pressure is so high that it's not anymore a item on the agenda. If it's something that it's considered strategic and it's a core value of a company, and now is really a good time to tackle this and address this challenge in the more valuable way. So this last point related to the context is challenging, but it's also a push for some sustainability decision within companies, from my perspective.
Yeah, which is a positive move. So we were presenting circularity at scale, sustainability, and fashion without compromise. So what we'd like to do now is hear a few questions. So we are opening the floor to some questions. So please go ahead and type in some of those questions. Okay, so Simone, I'm not sure, can you see the chat, but I have it here. What materials are used for recycled feedstocks? Probably I can take that one. So if we're looking at Naya Renew, we're currently using recycled waste plastics. It's a range of complex waste plastics, up to 7 different types of plastics. Plastics that today, you know, do not have viable solutions for recycling. With Naya Renew, right now we have about half of our feedstocks is coming from post-consumer carpets. And then we are also using a mix of polyolefin packaging and copolyester also. So it's quite a range of plastics. Okay, let's go to the next question. Maybe this one's for you, Simone. You mentioned having a scalable solution is key. How important is that to the brands that you talk to? Simone?
Yes. Yes. I was trying to define the answer from my perspective. It's true that when we are working with fashion brands, we are bringing this scientific approach to quantify the environmental footprint of a company. Then, when you have these figures with you, you cannot consider them as a theoretical exercise. So the idea is not only to take the picture and to develop the corporate footprint. The idea is to translate it then in a concrete action plan. And if we are talking about concrete action plan, you have to include the business perspective, and therefore the scalability of the solution is key. Otherwise, we are in another world. And today we know that we have to be quite pragmatic, visionary, I would say, in terms of mission and engagement and commitment, but then be quite pragmatic and put in place concrete action. So it's key from what I can discuss with brands around the world.
Okay. Thanks for that, Simone. So one here, can this fabric be bought in small quantities? So, so we actually, with Naya Renew, we sell the fiber to mills. So I'm going to show folk my contact details afterwards. So you feel free to connect with me, and then we'll connect you with our network of spinners and mills. So that is no problem. Another question here. What category or product type of women's wear do you believe that Naya is most useful for? So very interesting question. Delighted that somebody asked that one. So Naya is actually extremely versatile. That's perhaps one of its key benefits in the market. So as a filament yarn, it lends itself to elegant, luxurious fabrics that have wonderful, you know, hand feel and elegance and drape. With beautiful luster, and as a spun yarn blend, you get these soft cocooning fabrics that have wonderful attributes as well in the fabrics, such as not just the hand feel, but like dry time and reduced pilling. So it really does range from, you know, elegant wear to comfort everyday wear, and indeed, you know, sleepwear. I'd say, Simone, if I'm really being honest, you know, it's probably what I'm wearing most days. So it's extremely comfortable, and I think the world is changing to much more comfortable fashion. So it's a perfect choice there. So we have another one. Oh, no, we're being told that time is out, Simone. So what I'm going to do is just pop up our contact details. So again, my name is Ruth Farrell, and I'm joined today with Simone from Qantas Italy. So please feel free to contact any of us, and we'll be happy to connect with you. So
thank you very much. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks for everybody.
Ciao.
I guess I leave.